This.
Peanut butter.
You think this is peanut butter?
Yeah.
You think it's real peanut butter?
Open it.
Can you open it?
Yeah. It's fondant!
Oh hey, you guys might notice I've been in America and I've kind of gotten used to shopping at Costco. We're out of peanut butter. Do you guys think I went too far? This is cake. This is an epic, relatively easy to achieve, gigantic jar of peanut butter cake. Before we get started, I have some really exciting news to share. Over the past several months, I've been working on a new show with the Food Network called Sweet Smarts. Sweet Smarts is premiering tomorrow morning on the 30th of October, and then there's an encore episode on the 5th of November. Check your local guides to see what time it's on near you, but it's gonna be in the morning on October 30, and I'm so excited to see what you guys think. If you use the hashtag SweetSmarts on any of my social media platforms, or let me know in the comments below, I would love to hear what you guys thought of my very first Food Network show. All right, let's get into this cake. To make your giant peanut butter jar cake, you're going to need some white chocolate and milk chocolate. Make sure this is a compound chocolate and doesn't contain the ingredient cocoa butter. I've got a double batch of my vanilla cake mix and I've baked that in a regular baking tray. This one's 18 inches by 13 inches and you can get that recipe in the Sweet Celebrations cookbook or I'll leave a link to it down below. I've got a batch of my buttercream frosting, some smooth peanut butter, I've got a fine craft knife, and then I've got a heavy duty set of cutters, a little fondant colored yellow, and peanut butter cups. Lots of peanut butter cups. To make my peanut butter cake, I'm actually going to be casting the mold in a giant pretzel container that I found at Costco. This is from the San Francisco Pretzel Company. I'll leave a link to this one down below. And as an added bonus, you get to eat a ton of pretzels before you start making your cake. That one's completely clean and completely dry. First, we're gonna make a chocolate mixture that's about the same color as peanut butter. So I'm gonna take my white chocolate and then my milk chocolate. And that's about 3/4 white chocolate to about 1/4 milk chocolate. We're gonna melt those down. Then I'm gonna add a fair amount of yellow oil-based food coloring or candy coloring to really bring out that creamy peanut butter hue. So it's a little bit less dirty brown and more beautiful peanutty brown. If this actually smelled like peanut butter, I would seriously think that it was like super runny peanut butter. It's the perfect color. Now we prepare our pretzel container. Not something you thought you'd hear in cake decorating. You want to cut that down so that it kind of meets up with the top edge. It's going to help us pull it apart once everything's set. And then I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm just going to slice all the way through the middle. Be really careful here. These things are crazy sharp. With our big container halved and our chocolate melted, you're going to pour. Pour about half into each half. And then I'm just gonna tip my chocolate so that it coats all of the sides. And you can use your spatula if you need a bit of help here. And then tip out any excess. I want 2 thin coats here rather than 1 thick coat. Don't worry if you can see some little transparent gaps in your peanut butter. Pop that off into the fridge because we're gonna give it a second coat anyway. Into the fridge. Those are only gonna take about 10 minutes to set. When you come back, pour your remaining chocolate into each half, separate it evenly, and use the spatula just to pull it up the sides again. So you've got 2 thin coats, which should give you a nice, stable, almost peanut butter jar. Almost. While that one's chilling out, we're going to make our frosting. So I've got a double batch of my vanilla buttercream frosting, and I'm gonna add about 1 pound or 500 grams of smooth peanut butter, and then just mix it through. Simple as that, you have peanut butter frosting. Take your 2 sheet cakes now, and I'm gonna use an 8-inch tin kind of as a template, just to cut around 2 whole circles, and then a half. And then I'm gonna use the half just stacked on top of the tin to use those offcuts to make almost a 1/3 circle. This will be pieced together a little bit, but it saves you wasting cake, and because we've got that really nice chocolate shell, it's gonna hold everything together just beautifully. Once you've got essentially 6 circles, you wanna level them all off so they're all the same height, and then just trim away any caramelization from the bottom. I'm gonna brush all 6 of those layers with a little sugar syrup, which is just 1 part sugar and 1 part water, microwaved or brought to the boil until that sugar completely dissolves. It's just gonna help us retain a fair bit of moisture in our cake. Once they're completely set, you can remove your 2 containers from the fridge, and I'm going to use my superfine craft knife to make 4 slits. Do this on an angle so that you're not scratching the chocolate, and you should be able to see the plastic already pulling away from the outside edges of your giant peanut butter jar. Slide all the way down, be very careful of fingers, and then you can just peel back the 4 sections. They won't peel like an orange, but they'll just pull away enough that you can then turn your container over and press the base. It should pop straight out. For the top half, very similar. Remove the lid, make those same 4 incisions, and then you can actually use where all the chocolate's pulled in the lid section to push that out as well. I've got my 2 halves of my peanut butter cup, but as you can see, they're a little uneven. They're a little jagged because we had to cut a huge pretzel container in half with a craft knife. So we're gonna neaten it up. I'm just gonna take a hot fry pan or a hot skillet, and I'm just going to place it over the top and just let it flatten, level, and neaten. Don't get too crazy here. I don't want to lose too much height on this peanut butter cake. You don't just have to use the inside of the fry pan. You can use the outside as well if you just need to even off just a small portion. Once you've got that out of the container, I swear that is the most stressful part done. It's not hard, but that's where you'll get the most nervous. After that, we are cruising. So I'm going to take my peanut butter frosting, and I'm just going to use a spatula to just really coat the inside in a thin coating, which is going to cause the cake to stick to those outside edges, so when we cut it, the chocolate doesn't fall away. It's actually going to be served with each piece of cake. Once you've got a really nice coating of your peanut butter frosting on the inside of both halves of your peanut butter cake, you want to stack in a layer of cake. Then I'm going to pipe in a nice amount of frosting and smooth it off. And then I'm going to layer peanut butter cups. A little more frosting just to fill in any gaps, and a quick smooth before another layer of cake. So when you cut this, you are going to get cake, frosting, peanut butter cup, frosting, cake, frosting, peanut butter cup, frosting. Remember on your top half to put the peanut butter cups upside down, because by the time we've joined this together, that whole half will be turned over. Cake is stacked and frosted. You can pop that off into the fridge for about 30 minutes just to let everything solidify and get nice and firm, and then we're going to add some support. Because there's so much cake going on in here, the last thing we want is for our top cake to crush our bottom cake. Crushed under a mountain of peanut butters, what a way to go. I'm going to use milkshake straws or fat straws here. You can also use something like skewers or dowel, but these are a lot easier to cut. You will need to apply a bit of force to get them through that layer of peanut butter cup. Yum. I'm going to use a pair of scissors just to cut those off so they're all nice and level. And then I'm going to use just a covered thin cake board just to sit in the middle. A little more frosting. I love the fact I've made a cake that has a layer of peanut butter cup and looks like a peanut butter jar. Now's the part where you can tend to get a little nervous, but this is actually a pretty robust, it's heavy, but it's a very robust cake. So I'm going to, again, just melt the very, very edges just a tiny bit this time so they get a little tacky, and then we're going to join them together. On goes my hot skillet just for a second, and the other side. And then we join. Pick it up, flip it over, support, and align. You got a couple of seconds to slide it around and just get it nice and lined up there. And then just run your fingers around the outside edge. A little bit of that leftover melted chocolate, I've just popped mine into a snap seal bag, and I'm just gonna squeeze it around that gap and use it just to make sure that my cake is really securely joined in the middle. Don't worry if this is not super, super neat, because we've got a label that's gonna cover pretty much all mistakes. Roll out your yellow fondant, and then I'm gonna use my actual pretzel lid as a bit of a template. To make my little indentations, I'm using an actual jar lid. Nutella, peanut butter, whatever you like, but that's going to give you that nice ridgy edge. I'm going to use a small amount of water to attach first to the side strip, and then a little bit more water on top is going to attach that lid in place. Use your fingers just to make sure the two meet up together really nicely. So close to being done. I've taken my template and stuck it together. You'll notice it's in a couple of pieces, so the size of your jar is going to depend how many of your template pieces you need, but just stick them together using a little tape, and then I'm going to wrap it around the center, making sure I know where the not so pretty back of my cake is at all times, and then affix it with a little bit of tape. Does Ollie want some cake?
Yeah.
Does Jakey want some cake?
Yeah.
All right, let's cut it. To cut your cake, you're going to need a super hot knife. Here we go. The hot knife, you need to get through that chocolate, and you should be able to cut it all the way down to the first board. Let's take a look inside our cake.
Yeah.
Whoa! What do you see You seeing dinosaur?
Yeah.
You see dinosaurs everywhere lately. This thing literally weighs like 10 kilos or 20 pounds. It's my morning workout. I'm burning off my peanut butter cups. It's layers of fluffy vanilla cake with peanut butter buttercream layered with peanut butter cups, and this is everything good in the world. And also everything a little naughty in the world. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you do for new videos every week. I'm gonna leave a link below to some of my other giant cool cakes and candy bars you guys might wanna check out if this is something that you're into. And as always, thanks very much for watching.